I don't know if have you ever had like a corporate job?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how you go and you kind of just do like similar things all the time. For me, at least, that's what I was doing when I was working in asset management. I was literally showing up and doing more or less the same thing every single day. And so then I find like with social media, every day you're doing something different, at least if you're doing it right. You're testing things, you're trying things, because as marketers, that's what we got to do. We got to just test all the time, figure out what's working, go crazy on that, but keep testing more stuff and adapting with the times.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel already we're gonna have some good banter, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. What is something that you have been learning recently that has been like blowing your mind?
Everything to do with how to fully automate the DMs. This is like my dream, and I actually think that it's possible. Like genuinely, we're very, very close to being able to do that with conversational AI. And so I'm a little nervous to like fully roll it out and test it, but we're gonna start testing it on a small subset of our leads. And I have someone from my team who's like training it up right now. And I've honestly been nerding out on like I've been nerding out like crazy about that because that is going to save so much of my time in just worrying like other people messaging properly in the DMs right now. So that's going to be nice.
That is intense. So what have you been like learning about it? Because for me, I sort of think like first I go skeptical. I'm like, surely you can't automate all the DMs. So I want to know about it.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I think it's like really lagging. Can you hear me?
Did it? Yeah, I can hear you. So what I said was,
Okay, I
I'm a little bit skeptical on being able to automate all the DMs. So please prove me wrong.
Yeah, it's actually really, really accurate. I mean, I don't know if you've heard the phone calls with like the Google AI where literally like somebody answers and it legit sounds like a human. But honestly, the DMs is like you can really do that right now. It's very, very, very solid. And I think it just comes down to how do you train it? Because if you're, we have thousands and thousands of conversations every single month. And so just being able to like feed those conversations into there has been interesting. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't even know that it was going to be possible so soon, but it really does seem to work.
That's crazy. One thing that I really like about you is how much you like finding these automations and finding these systems and finding some new hack that you had. I really liked your leadership when you come onto threads. And I was just noticing how you're like leading an entire audience of people to come in, even with the new like feature. I remember you put up a post, you were like, oh, this new like thing, whatever it was. And I was like, well, of course I'm going to like it. You know what I mean? Like it went up. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
really,
yeah.
yeah, you really lead like with systems and through social media. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I was literally on a podcast like right before we got on this, and they asked me the same thing. And it's so funny because I think I'm just like genuinely interested in it. And so I think because I'm genuinely interested and I actually really love social media, it's like those things that you just kind of obsess over. You naturally find yourself doing more of those things. And for me, yeah, it used to be fitness. I mean, I still am totally obsessed with fitness, but also social media. Those are like the two things that I really love. And so I find myself spending time just like naturally doing the things. And because I do it, I find stuff, I find hacks, I find ways to do things and reach more people or like specific things that can just make it more efficient. And I really chase efficiency. Like I really prefer to do something in a more efficient way so I can just get it done sooner. And so being able to just figure that stuff out is genuinely enjoyable to me. And then that coupled with human psychology and seeing how people actually respond just from your words and the things that you say or do, I find it so fascinating. Like I really knew before I made that post on Instagram that it was gonna go like it was gonna get a lot of engagement. And then the most engagement I got was people messaging me saying, Lauren, that was really, really smart. And so then I know that then they're consuming my content and then it just kind of traps them in my world. And now they're interested in knowing more about what I'm doing. And so I just find that pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I found like for me, this is what it seems like. It sounds like you got to like expert level in social media in like a really short period of time. Like you got like really, it seems to me like you just learned the right stuff. You got obsessed with learning it. You looked and you found like the right tools and the right reasons and like really figured it out. Um, yeah, in like a short period of time, because like you're really young. So like
Well,
what led you to
I don't
that?
know. I don't know that it's a short period of time. Like I've been on social media now at the time that we record this, it's been a decade
Yeah.
that I've been using social. So it's actually quite a long time. And you know how, I don't know if you have you ever had like a corporate job?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how you go and you kind of just do like similar things all the time. For me, at least, that's what I was doing when I was working in asset management. I was literally showing up and doing more or less the same thing every single day. And so then I find like with social media, every day you're doing something different, at least if you're doing it right. You're testing things, you're trying things, because as marketers, that's what we got to do. We got to just test all the time, figure out what's working, go crazy on that, but keep testing more stuff and adapting with the times. And so I think that the reason why, and I see this in every entrepreneur that's good and really great at what they do, is they're literally obsessed with it. Like they're literally obsessing over it all the time, and they're not willing to like make themselves look stupid as they test and try something. And so, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and it's always something different every single day. So, for example, back in the day on Instagram, I used to do this thing where my Instagram kind of started as like a fitness Instagram. And so I would do like healthy protein recipes. So I would make like protein brownies and things like that. And so I would take this like aesthetic photo. Like I literally used to spend like 2 hours taking these photos. And my dad, I was like 16, so my dad would be like, Lauren, what are you doing? You're making my kitchen super messy. And then I would like literally destroy it. I would make all these photos, and yeah, it was so funny. And so then I would take the photo and I'd post it on Instagram, and I'd be like, delicious protein brownies with 40 grams of protein per slice and only like 220 calories. Who wants the recipe? And I would get people to comment like me, and it would go crazy. So it get pushed out back in the day, like on the explore page. And so then I would literally post it later on that evening, and I would reply to every comment saying, hey, I've posted it now, go check it out. So that would be my process. I would do that every single, like literally every single day. And so that's how I kind of grew my following in the beginning. And I just found it really fun because so many people would engage. And then I knew when I posted it, they would see it. And like, I wasn't making any money or anything. I just did it because I enjoyed it. I don't know. It's so weird now when I think about it. Like, why did I care about that? But yeah, it was my passion.
Yeah, well, I can see how that translates into now. Because that's also like
Yeah.
looking into minds of other people, seeing what they want, and then like leading and going through that as well. So I'm interested, as like an entrepreneur, because I know you're really passionate about entrepreneurship as well. Like as an entrepreneurship, how do you get through the slumps? Like how do you get through the slumps, the humps, and the times where it like does really get tough? Have you got any stories?
Yeah, like, I mean, there are so many things that happen all the time that are just frustrating and drive you crazy. And like the magnitude of problems that you face when you own a business is significantly higher than in other roles in life. And so there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of frustration, especially if you're, yeah, the sole business owner. And so the thing I always ask myself, I heard this quote like a long time ago, but it's just ask yourself, is this going to matter in 5 years from now? Because if it's not going to matter in 5 years from now, then stop giving it so much energy and attention. And then I'm able to just snap myself out of it. Because I told you, like, I'm a very obsessive person. Like, I obsess over things. So when something bad happens, I obsess over the bad thing. And so it's just a personality trait of mine that I know about myself. And so I know that I need to be able to navigate those things. And so this is one thing that I did a few years ago, is like I literally listed out like all of my winning traits, and then I listed out all of my failing traits. And what was really, really interesting is that all the things that make me win are also all the things that make me fail. And it was literally night and day. And so I then just had this awareness, okay, this is ultimately like my success is going to ultimately be my demise. So how can I control these variables? And so I just think when you're able to think in more of a long-term perspective, it makes things a lot easier. Like the worst thing that kind of comes to my mind is, okay, I get sued for the first time and I go through this whole process. I have to pay 6 figures on legal fees. And the reason why someone's trying to sue me isn't because they have a reason to sue me, it's because they just want to get money. And so I'm obviously frustrated because one of the things that I hate the most in the world is wasting time. And so I know that this is just a waste of time. I know that I'm going to have to pay all these lawyers, and then I'm not going to get the money back in the end because this company has no money. Like they've done all their books so that they have no money. And so it's just this whole waste of time. And I had to protect myself, because if I don't protect myself, then they automatically win, just because that's kind of how the system seems to work. And so I just started to think, okay, is this going to matter like in 2 years from now? Maybe if it continues to go on. So I need to show up and I need to actually address the problem, AKA pay money to the lawyers. Is this going to matter in 5 years from now? No, not if I do the right things that I actually need to do to control the situation in the way that it needs to go. Because in 5 years from now, I'm going to be so rich that it's just not even going to matter at all if I have to spend a few six figures on legal fees. So I kind of just thought about it like that. And then I thought, my dad said to me this one time, like it was actually when the lockdowns were happening, I was in Mexico. And I was like, yeah, I need to book a flight, but like I need to pay $12,000 for the flight because otherwise I would have had to have flown in economy. And like I committed to myself, I would not fly in economy. And he was like, yeah, but Lauren, like the reason why you make money is so that you can do things that you need to do. And I was like, oh yeah, that's such a good point. And so ever since that moment, I just kind of took his advice and I was like, well, the reason why I make money is so that I can protect myself against things that I don't want to be doing and that are risky and that could potentially destroy my anything in my life. So yeah, that's just one thing. And it kind of helped me begin to see money as a tool rather than like something which is directly related to me as a person. And for the longest time, like up until then, I kind of saw it like this money is my personal income. I didn't see it as like my business's income. And so that's just one way that I handle things.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I really like the topic of money because I don't know what it's like in England when like you were growing up. But in Australia, like everyone's money mindset is pretty trash.
Oh
Especially
yeah.
growing up. And like everyone is just like integrating and moving through money traumas and they're getting projected absolutely everywhere. And I see it happen all the time and having to run through my own money stuff and look at my parents' money stuff and like move over into that and to understand like, you know, the law of abundance and how abundant like everything is, especially when you start, you know, having fun and getting in and making money and seeing it come in. Like what was your mindset in terms of going from like, okay, here we are, young, growing up, and then money starting to come in and then making money and then feeling worthy of the money and then feeling confident that it's going to come in and that you're going to do the work.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that as an entrepreneur, I think it's actually really hard to feel secure. I think it's one of the most challenging things to feel secure about money because if if we destroy our business, somehow we destroy our income. So the things that I've done to try to overcome that for me personally, because I will say this is still something that I struggle with. I still think, oh my gosh, what if next month my business is taken away from me and I have zero money? Then I say to myself, well, I know I have the skills and tools to be able to rebuild it again, and I would be able to rebuild it again just like that. But then I'm like, but it could still all go away and it would be so stressful. And so it's like this battle in my mind. So the first thing is I shifted my business model quite a few years ago to pay per month. So I was always selling back in the day like fitness programs. I would sell like a fitness program for 45 pounds. So like, 60 US dollars or something. So it was super low price point. And they'd buy it and that was it. I didn't know about upselling. I didn't know about memberships and anything like that. So what I started doing is I started selling like monthly, like high ticket monthly recurring revenue. So they would pay like around, I think it was about in US dollars, $800 a month or so to have fitness coaching from me. And then from there, I began to scale that and so on and so forth. Eventually, I shifted that into like a membership model. And I also tried to do everything I could to get as much affiliate revenue as possible so that if my business went away, I'd still have already like referred people to these other businesses where I was getting like 40% monthly recurring revenue for different tools or such that they had been using. So that was like one of the things that I had done. And I think the second thing is I am just constantly trying to speak to really successful people who are way further ahead than me. So one of the big things that they always say is like, get a win under your belt as quickly as you can. So even if, let's say, like you have 3 million in assets, okay, or 5 million in assets, it's still like you still don't feel secure at that level, right? Like for me personally, I am within that realm and I definitely still don't feel secure. Like, and so I think it comes down to how could you potentially get some businesses that either you've invested in or that you own for yourself and actually like exit those businesses and sell them. Because yeah, like even when I was so stupid, I had like $1 million liquid in my bank account, and I still felt every single month extremely stressed. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I don't make enough money next month? And so then I started to invest in various different things, but it didn't change anything. In fact, it just made me more stressed, because I would invest in these companies and these stocks and crypto. And I had some great luck with crypto. I mean, I really made a lot with crypto. But then some of the other crypto, I mean, I have one portfolio right now that's down 250K. Like all I see is red when I log in there. So, you know, it's kind of just this constant battle in your mind. So the moral of the story is, I think that entrepreneurship is the best personal development that there probably is, because at the end of the day, money doesn't even matter. Like it literally doesn't even matter. Why do we need it anyway? And I think it's how we self-identify, because like in 50 years from now, whether you have 10 million or 100 million, it's really not going to make much more difference to your life, or even a million. You know, the difference is so minimal. So yeah, it's one of these things that I battle over in my mind all the time.
Yeah. And it's like this consistent sort of, it's there, and then it either gets quieter or it gets louder. And I swear like that just depends on your mental state sometimes, which is really interesting. How do you
That's true.
balance how do you balance all of that in your relationship as well?
Yeah, so my boyfriend is really, he doesn't have as much of a high and low personality as me. So he's very, very stable, and he doesn't really care as much about things as I do. So I will really, really care about, and I'll be stressing out about this one small little particular thing in my business. Again, it's this like obsessive personality trait that I have. And then he'll just be like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? You know? And then he'll ask me that question. And then I'm just like, yeah, that's a good point. What am I going to do about it? Because I'm just in my head, like stressing out. And then when it comes to money and stuff, he just like, he spends money just without even thinking about it. Not in like a crazy way, but I mean, he grew up in Switzerland, right? And in Switzerland, things are very, very expensive. So for him, he doesn't even think. So one of the things that we do, because I'm just like one of these people, I just won't spend money. And then I'll go and I'll spend like multiple six figures on like one thing just without even thinking. Okay, so I'm like really weird like that. I don't spend on the small things, but I'll just spend on the big things. And so basically what we do is we just put money into a joint bank account, and he spends all the money. Like I just let him make all the decisions about everything, whether it's food, whether it's trips, whatever it happens to be, because I don't necessarily like to think about how to spend money. And I prefer to, let's say I would go shopping for myself. Okay, obviously I'll spend my own money. I won't use our joint bank account to spend money on that. But things like apartments and stuff, I let him just decide. But yeah, then I prefer to choose about, okay, if I want to go shopping, like, okay, I'll actually go and I'll try and enjoy the experience. I very rarely do that, like once or twice a year, but I'll actually like go and really enjoy it. Like I'll let them feed me all the champagne, and while I buy all the expensive clothes, and I'll have fun with it. Whereas that's just something that he would have no interest in doing. So we're very, very different like that, like so different, but it works perfectly. And I think that I really needed that in a partner, because if I was with somebody who was just like myself, where like I would just never want to spend any money and do anything because I'd just be focused on my business, then I would just be working all the time and never having any fun.
Yeah, it literally
So
sounds like you guys balance each other out so perfectly
yeah,
within
very
those
well.
situations. It's the same thing with me and my partner. So like she's good at saving, I'm not good at saving. I'm good at spending and she's not as good at spending. So like it's really funny how it works like that. And I did want to
Yeah.
know because a lot of people like in my listeners and my audience either have their own business and they're on the entrepreneur like journey, or they've just started. I wanted to know if you had any advice around social media strategies or something for people who are like quite medium in their entrepreneur journey or have just started their entrepreneurship journey and they're a little bit like, like what's one thing that I should focus on right now?
Yeah, so we were just talking before we started filming. Like I recently just shifted my community to school, right? And so we had a post from a guy yesterday, and it was so funny, all the comments from people that we've had as clients for a long time commenting in there like, oh, so that's what happens when you actually follow the strategy without thinking about it. Like, because this client of ours, he just executed, like he just frigging went for it. And he has a job right now. And normally we weren't working with this type of client until we opened up this new community, right? We were only really working with more seasoned business owners who already had like a decent personal brand, were making some good money online. But anyway, we decided to open up to a new group. And it's really actually cool seeing all the different groups together, but I digress. So he literally came in and his post was like, 3 weeks ago, I had no business, no online offering, no personal brand, nothing. And now 3 weeks later, today, I just made my first post following, we call it like an organic lead tap. So following the organic lead tap. And I already have people in my DMs asking to get on a sales call with me. So this was such a cool testimonial for me because back about 4 years ago, I used to help people start from scratch. And so I hadn't had a testimonial like this for such a long time. I'm getting goosebumps as I think about it. Because like I remember that first moment I made that first sale online. Can you remember that moment? How good is that feeling? Like I swear to God, that feeling is better than making like your first 100K. I'm so much goosebumps right now because I was just so happy for him. And so how did he do that? Okay, so how do you go ahead and actually get your first leads messaging you to like become your client or to want to work with you? So the most important thing when you first start out, you don't have any authority. So if right now you're struggling to get any attention online, the reason probably isn't because your content sucks or because the algorithm hates you. Most likely it's because nobody knows why they should listen to you. And that's the unspoken question in people's minds. As they're scrolling their feed and they see this random girl with a British accent who's making this content telling them how to make good posts on social media, and then they go to your profile and you have like 100 followers, like why are they going to listen to you? Okay, so the moral of the story is in the content, I really believe in like segmenting it between 3 different groups of people. The first group of people are people who have no idea who you are. So when you're making content, by the way, literally only try and speak to one group of people at a time in your posts, because when you segment it like that, even though of course other people are going to see the content, it allows you to optimize for what that post is designed to do. Because some content you want to reach more people, other content you want to get leads, other content you want to get clients. And so that's how I think about it. So the first type is designed to reach more people. These people who have no idea who you are. So the first thing in the first line is you have to remember the people who see the post are thinking, who the bloody hell is this person? Why should I listen to them? And so the framework to think through when making this type of content is to think about the cocktail party brag. So let's say you're at a cocktail party. I personally don't really drink, but let's say I had one margarita, I would probably be a little bit tipsy. And let's say I was like really tipsy and I would start like bragging to people, okay, like about my success in business. So you want to try and list out like 3 to 5 achievements that you would probably tell people at a cocktail party that if you told it to them, their jaw would drop. So an example is, let's just say my background was fitness, okay? So an example for me would be I lost 30 pounds within a 6-month period and I didn't quit any of the food that I loved. Okay, it would just be something like that. Something that would actually get people to listen to you and pay attention. So let's just say I can think of, okay, let's think of an example for you, Corey. Like, what are the clients primarily coming to you from? Like when you work with people, what's the biggest outcome that you get them to?
It sort of depends. So the biggest like thing that I get people to have would be extreme confidence and mindset control.
Okay, cool. And so what is your personal story? Like if I met you for the first time and like I had no idea who you were and you had no idea who I was, and like you were to just tell me something that is going to make my jaw drop about your personal story, like what are two or three of those things relating to this?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So relating to that was, well, at one stage, I remember I could hardly look at myself in the mirror and I couldn't take my shirt off. And then I won a pro card in bodybuilding and I'm a professional
Okay,
bodybuilder. So
that's awesome. Congrats. Yeah, I
that's
love how
fun.
your background is also fitness. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that would be a great example. Like you could literally say something along the lines of like, I went from hating myself, or I went from not being able to look at my body in the mirror to winning I wouldn't necessarily say like pro card, maybe people don't know that,
Yeah.
but I'd probably say to winning like a championship in bodybuilding. Okay. And like, here are the 3 things I did that exponentially increased my confidence.
Yeah.
And actually in the second sentence, you normally want to add a bit of context, like something along the lines of like, I didn't blah, blah, and blah, just to add a bit more context to it. So like, I didn't, go on an extreme diet, ruin all my relationships. You want to take the things that your potential
Yeah.
clients are like worried about and like overcome it in that. So what's the second one for you?
Yeah, it's really cool. A second one would be, I used to be like, when I first started business, I was so scared of doing sales calls, and I'd freak out to for asking money. And in my first year of business, I still did 500,000.
Oh, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
that's like a major flex. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was terrified of sales and I still made 500,000. I didn't spam people, spend hours in the DMs every single day, or cold pitch, blah, blah, blah. Here are the steps I took that made me 500K while still hating sales. Okay, something just like that. Okay, obviously that would only really work if you're trying to work with business owners, but you
Yeah.
kind of get the framework, get the point, right? So
Yeah.
in that type of content, you're really just like, as people are scrolling through the feed, you just need to be able to capture their attention. So this can be in like typed out format, or it can be in a video. It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, the goal is to just get people to, as they scroll, they see you and they're like, oh, I didn't see this person before. I never read their content before. Like, I need to listen to this. So then from there, in that content, you want to just have like 3 to 5 value points. And in the second value point, you want to do what I call a sideways CTA. So a sideways call to action. So it's kind of just like, yeah, just like, let me know if you want to see blah, blah, blah. Something like this. So really casual. And then people start commenting and messaging you if you do it right, if you actually mention something that's actually valuable enough. So in your first post about like becoming a pro bodybuilder, I mean, this kind of depends. I'd have to ask you this question, but when you work with your clients, do you give them a training program or anything, or is it more like mindset stuff?
It's
Okay,
more
mental
mindset
stuff.
and communication and leadership stuff is what we mainly
Okay,
teach. Yeah.
so what would be like one of the favorite frameworks that you give to your clients that really, really works in getting them results? What would be an example of that?
So a real quick one is what we get them to do is we get them to just ask people around them. So the 5 closest people around them, to ask them their own strengths and weaknesses and get their own feedback,
Mhm.
and then analyze it, and then pick up and find the similarities between the strengths and the weaknesses, and the ones that feel a little bit sticky, and then like journal about it. And when they journal about it and they start like implementing it, whether it's in their business or in their relationships, they're like, oh my God, I have this new language now that I haven't had before, and this is working.
That's really cool. I did the first part of that with my team, actually. And so I had them all kind of tell me back, and, I did it to them as well if they wanted it. Like, what do you think is my zone of genius? What do you think I'm really, really bad at? And it was so interesting because the feedback is often what you don't expect. So I love that. But what I'll just quickly say is, going back to this point. Okay, so the first point in the post that we're talking about here is, okay, I started whatever, one thing. The second point is this. I got my friends and family to analyze my strengths and weaknesses. So maybe you have a name for it, like a strengths and weaknesses assessment. Okay. So point number 2, strength and weaknesses assessment. I got my friends and family to blah, blah, blah. By the way, let me know if you want me to send you exactly how this assessment works. I'm happy to send it through to your DMs. Okay. You just have it like as a sideways CTA. It kind of slips under the radar and it gets so much engagement. So that's what you want to do in that first style of content where you're aiming to reach more people. It's super soft, it's super organic. And if you're making it in a video, like, I don't necessarily advise doing the sideways CTA in there. That's really better on like a written post. And the nice thing is, and this is kind of like something which I thought didn't work anymore, but I tested it a few months ago. I just copied and pasted one of these posts into 10 Facebook groups. Oh my gosh, the
Really?
engagement was crazy. It was crazy. I did it on LinkedIn as well because I thought this is like such a 2017 strategy. But holy shit, when you use a sideways CTA, you can get mad engagement in Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. So There we go. So that's the first type of post. The second type of post is you want to basically think about all of the potential objections, because we're talking here, you know, maybe some of the audience haven't got clients right now. So if you don't have clients right now, you want to list down all the problems that your dream audience is facing in reaching the outcome that you help people achieve. If you already have a business, what are the objections and the obstacles that you come across in the DMs or on sales calls? Literally, you only want to make content about those things in this second type of content, which is designed for people who have maybe seen your stuff before, but they don't really know what it is that you sell or how that could help them. And the goal of this content is to get them to opt into a freebie. So again, you want to follow the same approach as before, but in the beginning, instead of giving a cocktail party bracket in the front line, you want to actually just go ahead and speak about like a client result or a problem, a pain. So for example, like for you, it could be something along the lines of like, I was unable to look at myself in the mirror. I hated my body. I felt so stressed every time I had to take my shirt off. Okay. And then basically you would just kind of go in, you would amplify the pain, you would tell a bit more of a story, you would showcase the transformation, and you can do it between like, yeah, those 3 to 5 value points again. Different people have different ways of that they prefer to write copy. I personally prefer to mix it up. Okay. So it just depends on what you want to do. And in this content, you want to basically get them to opt into a freebie. And the last type of content is literally just like a direct offer. But if you're new, you probably only want to do that like once a week. Otherwise, you're just going to exhaust the audience. So this would be something along the lines of like, I'll install our super simple social media sales system into your business that lands you between 3 to 5 high paying clients every single week. DM the word info to learn more. So basically try and do 2 posts of the first 2 styles each week, and then 1 of the last one, and you should be good to go.
I know my audience right now are listening and they're pulling out their phones and being like, they're taking
rewind.
like quick burn, going crazy on there. Yeah, that's amazing. I absolutely love that. The sideways CTA sounds like so natural to me. And I can see like why it works so much. Like there's one thing that like definitely I remember like watching your content. I was like, why is Lauren's content with what she's saying so appealing? So like I can see why. It's like, you know, you really understand. I was like, that is absolutely genius. I'd like to know one of like your biggest wins that you have had, that you sort of created, you mapped out, or like you really envisioned, or it just happened like naturally that you had that like really made you feel like super excited when it happened.
Wait, you cut out. What did you say?
Oh, damn it. So you just hear me being like, like really excited. I was like, what is like a story that you've had? We had a really big win where
Yeah.
when you won, it like made you feel like so excited that you like envisioned or you manifested or you planned out. And when it happened, you were like, yes, like I want to know one of those.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think it has to be the most recent one that comes to my mind is like I got to speak at the same event as Gary Vee. And this was so cool because like I just wasn't expecting this at all. Yeah. I was in Dubai, which is where I live. And so the event was only in like a few weeks, and it was just a mastermind event. So they were kind of just like, they weren't necessarily even planning to have like a ton of speakers, but the opportunity came up and I was like, oh my goodness me. I literally had to like change all my plans. I had a ton of speaking gigs already arranged in Dubai and everything. And it just reminded me like a few years ago, I never even imagined myself being able to speak on a stage because I would have been so scared. Maybe like, you know, I was super unconfident before, and in school when they would ask you, you know, you're reading a book in school and they get you to go around the room, I would go bright red. Like I literally couldn't even speak because I was so shy. I'm not shy, but just worried that I would mess up. So yeah, this was so cool. I mean, I was super grateful for this, and I really think that it just comes down to being consistent on social media, for me, honestly, to be able to have an opportunity like that. And so that was really an amazing opportunity. Yeah.
That would have been like so cool. Was that the first time you met Gary Vee as well?
Yeah, that was the first time. He
You
was
just
really
like,
cool, really focused. Yeah, he was great. Really different than I would think. Way more quiet and focused, kind of like Gary Vee is. It's kind of like Grant Cardone as well. Yeah, it was interesting. They're both very focused.
yeah, they must sound like they've got their energy just like really sorted out.
channeled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they probably say the
100%.
same thing about you as well. Unless you were like really excited, like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'm not like that. I think I'm quite extroverted though. Like I'm definitely not as focused, that's for sure.
Hey, being extroverted is a damn good time. So how do you then balance? Because I love how much you travel. And I love that you travel so much with your partner,
Yeah.
and like you had the vision as like, this is what I assume from seeing your content. You're like, I really wanted to have a business where I could travel. Hence why I went go to Dubai, like all the rest of it, and still traveling now, plus doing like the business. Like, what are some of the tips and tools that you have for traveling with your business? Because that's one thing that like scares the shit out of me, of like traveling whilst managing my business at the same time scares me. So like, how do you do that?
Uh, Yeah, it's so I decided like very intentionally when I first started my business, I want to have my lifestyle be a certain way, and I will make sure that my business fits around that. And so it doesn't really affect anything, to be honest, like at all, because at the end of the day, I'd rather go to a place and have like a 70% experience of that place, but still experience the place than to just not be in the place because I just don't want to travel in case it affects my business. And at the end of the day, life is here to be lived. So I try to just enjoy as much as I possibly can. So, for example, tomorrow we're going to go for 3 days, just like to this random desert and do this like fun activities. It was just going to be really, really cool. And then the next weekend after that, we're going to take like 5 days and go to all these coffee farms and this whole area, like riding horses and all this stuff. And so it's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be cool. And so I think in the past, I would travel somewhere and I wouldn't even enjoy it at all. And then I realized a few years ago that that's what I was always doing. And so I just decided, like, no, let's go back and let's remember why we started this business. Let's get more intentional about it. And I think as well, like it's easier when you have a partner to share things with. Because before, like when I was just traveling by myself all the time, I have obviously friends, but it's just not the same as when like you're with your partner. And so being able to do that over like the last 2 years has been really, really amazing, and something that I'm super grateful for, because we have the same like way in which we like to enjoy and then also work and enjoy and work, and kind of balancing it like that. But I don't think it affects the business at all, to be honest. I think it helps the business because I'm showing people that it's possible. And a lot of people want to live the same lifestyle that I have. And so they see my content and they see that I'm in like 15 countries in the last 12 months, and that's desirable for them. And so then they know that the systems that we show in Impact School must allow for that to happen, rather than constantly being working like 16 hours a day. Because I've done coaching programs and stuff, and like then I meet the owner of the business, and yeah, they're literally working like 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, and that's just not the lifestyle that I want. Like they've been single for like years, they don't have a family, they don't have a desire for that, or they do want that but they just don't have it because their business is taking over their life. And so that's kind of how I personally judge who I want to get help from. But like, some people don't want that, and that's fair enough, right? If you want to just hustle and build an empire, that's also cool. It's just not my personal goal.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm sure like traveling and learning as well was probably like stimulated parts of your mind where you had new ideas, you understood new things, you implemented new stuff. Like, do you have any stories of that happening?
Oh my gosh, it happens to me all the time, mainly from the people that I meet, because I always meet people everywhere I go, like every single place. And so you just have conversations and you learn new things that you didn't once know. And so I was recently in El Salvador, and they have like a ton of natural energy there. And so I was speaking to this guy who essentially brought, I don't even know how to explain it, but like he pretty much runs like their power grid. And so yeah, he was just staying in the same hotel as us, and like we were just chatting, and my boyfriend kind of became friends with him. And the amazing things that and perspectives that we got from him was just incredible, like the way in which he thinks and the magnitude to which he thinks, and the things that he was doing, like the way that he was raising money to be able to buy these deals and to be able to secure these contracts. Oh man, it just made me think so much bigger. And so I thought that was really interesting. And he was also there with his family. And they were having a great time. And I just thought that's really cool, like that he's been able to have achieved all of that while having a beautiful family. And then simultaneously, like in Dubai, obviously you meet a ton of entrepreneurs all the time, and there's like parties and you just connect, right? And you just have conversations that you wouldn't otherwise expect. Regarding being like in nature, and does that invigorate my mind? I don't really know. I don't really have like any direct correlations that I personally have seen. For me, I think I get more from, like, as I said, I'm more like extroverted, and so it's me for me talking to people, having conversations that lights me up. And I think that different people in the world have very different perspectives. So like in South America, the perspectives is just so different, and the attitude is way more chill than the attitude in like Europe or Dubai or America. And so when I speak to people here, they're more all about like family and passion and creativity and like artistry. And so one of my friends here, she owns like an SEO agency and she builds websites and stuff. And she was like telling me how, even though she has like a multi-million-dollar business, she's the same age as me. She still does all of the design work for her clients. And I was like, wow, that's so crazy. Like the amount of depth in which you go to serve your clients, like that's incredible. Because I think the American way and the British way is kind of just like, okay, you hire the team that does all the client work and you speak to the client and you maintain a relationship with them, but you don't give your heart and soul and passion to serving them as you scale. And so that, yeah, kind of helped me reframe how I was thinking. And I was like, that's so interesting, because her perspective of that is like me going into my clients' businesses and like really supporting them from like CEO to CEO. And so it got me changing how I was thinking and serving my clients. So that was pretty cool.
That is actually so valuable. Like from a mindset perception of just like seeing that happen in real time and understanding that motivation shift. Because I know like with some people that they will get stuck in a rut in terms of motivation, and nothing moves them enough to either just put more energy into something, feel more passionate about whatever it is, and then connect emotionally to the task, mission, or goal, or the people that they're serving. And they sort of go
Mm-hmm.
through, and eventually sometimes they're like, negative self-talk starts happening because they're not moving anything
Yeah,
around. So like I can see the
true.
value of that so much in like such like a short like period of time, like meeting someone and just been like, whoa, like that is, yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, it was super interesting for me. And just seeing the way in which different people run their businesses so differently. Like in Dubai, people want to go and meet in person and they want to have all these meetings, and I do not want to do that. It's not interesting to me at all. And so it just kind of solidified to me even further that I really, really like online business. Like, and I even made my boundaries harder because people would always try and meet with me. So I literally had a no meeting policy because I don't have time for that, and I don't want to do it. I don't, like, I had one time, this lawyer wanted to become my client and she wanted to go and meet with me 3 times and have coffee, and I'd never do that. And so I met the first time and it's so disruptive to my day. And so after that I literally, nope, I don't meet, do not take meetings. So
I love it. I love the no meeting policy, especially like I haven't been to Dubai before. That's like on my to-do list, one of the places to go next. Like I'm really excited to go there. But like I'm just curious if like in you, when you sort of just have time to yourself to just like focus on what you love doing and like get really creative, what is that? So like in terms of your normal day,
right,
if you're pardon?
I write copy. No, I'm serious. I
Yeah.
literally just go, I love to go in like a cold dark room and just write copy for social media. This is my favorite thing to do. Seriously. I write all my copy. I love to write it. I didn't for a while. And like when I wasn't doing it, I just felt like so much like there was something missing from my life.
I love that. Walk me through your process of what you do when you go and you're like, "For I am going to zone out. I'm getting creative. I've got a couple hours. Me and this pen or me and this
Right.
keyboard are going to town." Like, what's the process?
So normally what I do is I get my grid for the week. So I follow the same process that I just told you about earlier. And then I'll just start from Monday. Like I will literally just start. Like, so the Monday at the start of content. And so then I'll write. I'll just write. And then I'll just keep going until I'm done. I don't like to stop writing copy like in the middle of it. I like to write the whole thing, and then I like to come back the next day and make it better. So that's what I do. So yeah, I just literally I fill in the blanks. And then the second thing that I like to do is I like to build the product. So I'm pretty hands-on with product development for my company, in the sense of which, like, right now, one of the things that I'm working on that I'm really excited about is essentially like writing booklets for everything. So we have, like, we call it the 7 areas of impact. And so for each of the 7 areas, we're writing a booklet, and then we're going to also launch that on social media and give it away, everything for free. And so essentially sitting down and writing, because I went through all of my Google Docs. Oh my God, I legit went through 5 years worth of 3 Google Docs accounts. And I found more than 3,000 pages of like valuable information, like 3,000 pages. Okay. So now I'm going to go and try and condense that all into like these 7 documents, these 7 booklets. Yeah.
That is insane. I love that so much. And I that's hard, like hard and creative work all at the same time. Like you
Yeah.
put it all in there.
Really
Like
hard.
you feel proud of that? You should feel proud of that.
I'm going to be proud when it's done.
Yeah. Allow yourself to be proud when it's done. Yeah, I see that. And I think it's really cool. Like, I read the book, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. I'm not sure if you read
Oh,
that
I
book.
love that book.
I
Yeah.
love that book. And as he was mentioning, it's like, okay, when you get to like peak or something, like leave it, get to a certain task, and then make sure you come back to it the next day. So when you said that, I was
Yes,
like, oh, that is so wise in
that's
regards
true.
to like organizing all of it.
Yeah, well, some people say, some copywriters, they say like to write copy and then finish in the middle of the sentence. But for me, that just doesn't work. So,
Yeah. I like that you review it though. You still go over and like have a look and go over
oh
and like
yeah.
change things. That's what I think is like the key is actually going over what your work is and being like,
And
yeah.
then after I posted it, then I always review. So I look at the performance. And so based upon the performance, either I take the same concept and use it again, or I don't.
What have you found that works like with copywriting? Like in
It's all
regards to
about
getting
the, oh my God, it's just all about the hook at the top. Like, it is literally all about that. Like, it does, nothing else really, really matters. So once you get that right, then it's all about like the cadence and the flow. So is it easy and nice to read? Do you make people feel emotions? Like, if you can make somebody feel an emotion, oh man, like a relatable emotion, and they can see themselves in that story, that's when it crushes. So I would say, man, just testing different hooks all the time. The amount of times I've taken the same post and I've just changed the first line, and it will literally go from flopping to getting tens of thousands of views is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
is that on like a video or
Seriously,
just like the hook on a caption?
both, but mainly the caption. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. That is blowing my mind. It's like, you see it so much in terms of the power of words. Everyone talking about the power of words. And like we read so much, I listen so much, we go through so much, we consume so much. I was like actually taking the effort to sit down, especially in a fast-paced world, right? Because everything's so quick, even on stories. No, 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 no. People scrolling, going like this. Give me the result as quick as I can in a program, whatever it is. And then like for the creators to sit down and like think and analyze and take time going over their copy, going over their hooks and understanding what they are. It seems like it's like a superpower amongst a lot of chaos.
Oh yeah, it's everything. It's literally what I spend my time obsessing over.
I love it so much. So I like to give all of my listeners who are listening a challenge from you based on what you um, think about this conversation. That would be like a good little challenge for them that they could action today, tomorrow, or like this week, or even right now if they're listening.
So go back to what we were talking about earlier when posting to social media, and stick to those 5 days of posting. Post it. You can send it. You can tag us, right? We can give you some feedback. If they tag us, I will actually give you feedback. Just push it through to my DMs, and I'll give you feedback. And yeah, get those posts out on social media, because that could change everything for you.
Crazy. So good. Well, Lauren, I want to thank you so much for coming onto the show. For those who don't know you, where can they find you?
Yeah, my socials is just Lauren Tickner, LaurenTickner. You can find me on every platform with that name, except OnlyFans. I'm not there. Sorry.
It's so funny. One of my friends actually did that like as a test. They put up like a fake link on their stories, like as a joke, and it's just immediately just got like so much engagement because they put that on there, and I was
Wow.
like,
Wait, I did that as
that was
well.
funny.
I did that. I actually did that one time. I like had this photo where like I was wearing a bikini, but like I blocked out my butt, and I put the link and I said OnlyFans. And yeah, there was like more than 900 clicks.
Oh my God. Especially because everyone be like, oh my God, really? What are they
Yeah.
doing? And then just like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
book
How
a
funny
call,
is that? That's
buy
a
my
really good
program.
idea, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that again. That was a great idea. Yeah, I need to do that again. That was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing it with my partner, and I was just like getting like I was like feeling a little bit activated from it. I'm like, oh, a little bit activated from this, but we should definitely post that up for engagement. That'll be hilarious. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Let me know how that
great.
goes. I'll look for it when I see it. I'll be like, know what you're doing there, Lauren.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it actually soon. Maybe I'll do it on Saturday. Yeah, I'll do it on Saturday.
And see what
I'll
happens.
try.
We'll see.
Yeah, let's see.
I love it. Well, thank
I
you
need
so
to
much
think
for
what to send them to.
pardon.
I was just gonna say I need to think what to send them to, because I feel like if it's like
Yeah.
a sales or like an actual buy page, it's not so good. It needs to be something like a bit less, you know. Hmm. Not like a freebie or something. It needs to be something more casual. Maybe
Yeah.
like a YouTube video. Anyways, I'll think about it.
Yeah. No, I was like sort of understanding what you mean from there because it'd have to be like from people would have to be something that they can like sort of relate to, know that it's cheeky, like a hard got you. If you did want some of the stuff that I talk about, like watch this.
Yeah, maybe
You
like
know what I mean?
even a special page could be made for this. I think actually I can get my team to whip up a quick page. That's actually a great idea. Yeah, I like this. This could be a new funnel
I
for
was gonna
OnlyFans.
say this is the new Impact School OnlyFans funnel. Like,
Oh my God, it's like how I got 5,524 leads in 48 hours using this one simple OnlyFans funnel.
yeah, that's so funny. It's like the gotcha funnel or something. Like you can name it
Yeah,
that.
it's like the new funnel. Like I just saw Russell Brunson do this like thing. This is the only funnel that I'm using right now. I can be like, this is the only fans funnel. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this.
Oh my goodness! If you do something, you can have it. Like I can't wait to see that and actually see what happens. Yeah,
I'll try.
yeah,
I will speak to the team. It might not be on Sunday though. It might be a few more days because I need them to whip something together.
yeah. I'm gonna do it as well. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna do it as well. I'm gonna figure out,
Sure.
and I'll let you know like what happens with us. We'll come up with some sort of page. I'll get the guys to make something and see what happens because I talk and teach a lot of stuff on relationships. So I'm really sure that like I can sort of come in and twist some things around there. My mind's ticking at the moment. I got to send some voice
I like
notes.
this. Yeah, yeah. I think that you can do this. This is gonna be fun. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's boom. I agree
Yeah,
to do
let's
it.
see how we go. Agree to it. Done. I'm excited. All right, Laura. Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show and spending time out of your day to come here and have a chat. And it's really interesting, like that this come from like threads and everything as well. So thanks for putting that up and putting yourself out there. Like, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. This was really, really fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Lauren.